All right, well, let's get started. So thank you so much for joining our info session today on DBA or PhD, how to select the best path for your doctoral career. So during this info session, we will cover the key differences between a Doctorate of Business Administration, a DBA, and a PhD in Business Administration at Grenoble École de Management. And hopefully we'll help you discover which path aligns with your career goals and academic interests. And so we will try to give you some insights and answer your questions. So a quick look at the agenda today. We will introduce ourselves, tell you a little bit about Grenoble as a destination and our school. Then Bart will dive into our PhD program. I'll cover our DBA, and then we'll get to our favorite part of the program, the Q&A. So we are recording this session today, and we'll make it available to you afterwards. But we will also ask that you enter any questions you might have throughout the presentation directly into the chat, and we will get to them during the Q&A. So with that, I am Ginny Hinderscheit, and I am the head of marketing for post-experience programs at Grenoble École de Management. And Bart, maybe you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Bart, so Barthélémy Chollet. I'm the academic director of the PhD program and a prof at Grenoble École de Management since 2010.
Thank you. So, Bart, would you like to share a little bit about Grenoble?
Yes, so Grenoble, yeah, well, several things. So first, it's as a location, Grenoble is extremely like student. It's a place for students. I think it's the highest ratio of students per capita, so to speak, in France. So it's a rather small town by many standards, but with a lot of students, and also extremely international. Because of the industrial ecosystem, also because it's a place for students. So a lot of languages are spoken in the area, very international, and also people come to Grenoble for the lifestyle. It's very easy to reach to the mountains and practice tons of outdoor activities, and that's also another reason for people to choose Grenoble, but also for companies to choose Grenoble for the quality of life of their employees. Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, so I would just say that we're also close to, just a little point, that we're also close to 3 airports. So just an hour from Lyon, about an hour and a half from Geneva, and Paris is just 3 hours on the high-speed train.
3 hours by train, yeah. Okay, so yeah, there's a long tradition of science and industry in Grenoble. So several Nobel Prizes were from Grenoble University. There's a long-standing tradition of very strong relationship between universities, science, and industry in Grenoble, as illustrated by the presence of big companies such as ST Microelectronics, manufacturing chips, Soitec also, and all kinds of companies in different areas. But there are also a lot of scientific instruments that scientists from all over the globe come to Grenoble to use. Yeah, so it's very industrial, very scientific, a lot of research in the area.
All right, maybe you'd like to share a bit about the school.
Yes. So of course we're going a little quick because what you want to know is mainly about DBA and PhD. So, but if you have questions about the school itself, we'll be happy to answer. So this is one aspect of Grenoble École de Management. Actually, the 5th floor on the right is office for PhD students. So it's quite a nice environment to work with strong orientation. As you can judge from the mission, there is a history of trying to serve the ecosystem with a taste for innovation and technology management. So it's very broad, in fact, because we try to study and create programs that are informing how firms, but also the society can, improve through innovation and technology, let's say. Maybe also just mentioning that we are a Triple Crown accredited school, so we have 3 accreditations that are like the mainstream, most demanding accreditations that we also have. So we also have 3 locations, technically two cities. So Grenoble. Grenoble is the main, like the headquarters, so to speak, and the flagship. We also have GEM Labs. GEM Labs is a super nice entity close to the first campus, where we have tons of specific space to do plenty of fun things, such as experimentations, rooms with certain like equipments where we can do like fancy teaching, but also, like I said, doing experimentation for research. Since 2013, we are also present in Paris, and we have we recently established in Pantin, in fact.
That's true. Sorry, that's not the correct
Yeah, I
address
think
anymore. We have
the
a new
address is not
campus.
accurate anymore. So the picture you see is a super nice building that is brand new by the Ourcq Canal. So it's by a canal close to La Villette, for those who know Paris. It's a very nice building, very new, which we don't really like. To be clear, the PhD program, for example, is established in Grenoble. That's where we have the headquarters, but we use the campus also for like doing workshops or things like that, or for also teaching to some of the students who decide to be in Paris. Yeah.
And we have a nice video of a couple PhD students presenting GEM Labs on our
Absolutely. Yeah.
PhD page. So if you're interested in that.
Yeah. So, for example, just to illustrate, we have a mock store, let's say, a shop that allows to do experimentation and marketing in consumer behavior. So basically, you can have participants come into this mock shop and do their grocery with, we've got eye tracking technology to see their reactions. We can trace and monitor different types of variables in order to produce data for our research. So this is an example of how we use GEM Labs. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's dive into our topic now.
So the PhD, so this is what I'm in charge of. So since I've been doing that for 2 years, but I've been involved in the PhD since it's started, I believe, more than 12 years ago. So we now have 48 alumni, people now enjoying an happy life in academia, most of them. So they are now profs somewhere in the world. So this is a program that is really training students to acquire the competences required for doing good research, world-class research. So this is within the context of GEM, where we have also quite a long tradition of investing quite a lot in research. We have currently 23 full-time PhD students, about 50, in fact, it's 48, but it doesn't really matter. And some, a strong, let's say, strong faculty that is very research oriented. So the idea of the PhD program is to really give an occasion for a student to, mingle, socialize with faculty, established researchers, and collaborate with them. This takes place. So when you enter the PhD program, you belong to the program, but you will also belong to a research team. So we have 9 research teams. I believe there's another slide with the names of the teams. Yeah. Well, maybe just can we skip?
Well, I can go to the there we go.
Yeah. So just thank you, Jenny. So these are the 9 teams, and every student is part of one team, and that means take part to the seminars that this team organizes, but also collaborate with the prof belonging to this team, but also possibly also people belonging to other teams too. But just to illustrate the diversity of topics on these pictures. So these pictures were taken at specific milestones of the program. So on the lower side, you've got 5 students from so that's the year 2 intake, and in year 2 you're presenting in front of like all faculty your first, what we call the first year paper. So these people were presenting their first paper, so to speak, their first research through these events in GEM. And just to illustrate the variety of topics, so for example, the guy in the middle is named Vel on the lower picture, and he works on, you know, how firms react to political scandals or new social trends. He works on what we call brand activism. So for example, you've got a social movement like Black Lives Matters, or other types of, you know, big movements that a big part of the population pushes. So what do you do as a brand? Do you go with this flow, and, you know, like Nike did, for example, during a Black Lives Matter, or at the risk of also cutting your relationships to other types of customer bases? So this is the type of dilemma that Vel is studying as part of a thesis in marketing. Now, if you take the upper picture, this was a ceremony of graduation of a milestone in halfway to the end of the PhD. So that's what we call the MPhil. So after 2 years, intensive classes, they pass like, let's say, intermediate grade. And just to illustrate also the diversity of topics, so the lady on the right side is Renuka. So she's studying how failure in R&D projects in pharmaceutical industry impacts further innovation strategy of firms. So she studies how the fact of failing in developing new products influences the technological trajectories that company then take after this failure. So there are, in fact, tons of subjects, there are tons of topics. We have a policy of being quite flexible in terms of what the topic is, as long as it fits into one of the teams. So when you apply, perhaps the first thing you want to do is to check the profiles of these different teams and see how you can see yourself fit into one of these teams. And that said, we are open to plenty of subjects. Sometimes the supervisors also bring topics if you don't have any. So it's a discussion that you can engage with people. Also, before, like when applying, you can reach out to prof and, you know, express your interest for some topics and discuss to better know what you want to do. So maybe just a quick coverage of of that slide. So yeah, so the program itself, as you can see, it's very international. So on the picture, I see people from India, Pakistan, Iran, Armenia, Italy, Chile, France, USA, etc. So it's very, very, very international. So it's a 4 to 5 year full-time degree, and it's essentially oriented towards preparing for a career in academia. So this has to be clear from the beginning, that the PhD, the way we do it at least, is we do our best to prepare the students to be ready to get into academia, which is a very specific job market with very specific requirements, and which takes quite a long time to be ready for. So as you can see on the lower right side of the picture, there's a list, tentative list of places where our alumni are now academics. So we have alumni in Singapore Management University, Stockholm School of Economics, Exeter, Cardiff, Bogota, but also plenty of places in France, which are named here. But it's very diverse, and it's essentially a reflect of what people target. So meaning that, for example, people who are finding themselves now in Cardiff, that's because they decided to go outside of France. So it's completely possible. But a lot of people, as a matter of fact, elect France for their first position, because once they arrive in Grenoble and they start their life here, coming from abroad most of the time, well, they like it here, so they try to pursue their career in France. Yeah, so the one feature of the program, that the third bullet point on the slide, is that we really insist on the learning by doing. So the first 2 years of the program are really intense in terms of classes. So you're taking classes, you're learning about methodological methods, theory, how to do experiments, how to analyze data, how to do qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis, etc. So it's very heavy, but in the meantime, we also expect students to get started since the almost day one in terms of trying to do research on projects. So they are expected to, like I said before, they are expected to complete a first year paper by July, which is a first attempt to write at least a draft of a research paper. And this is done in collaboration most of the time with faculty. So there's a strong mentoring that is provided. The feedback we get from a lot of people is that not only your supervisor will provide mentoring, but also plenty of people in GEM. We have a very horizontal culture where it's totally fine to go to some, other faculty, get feedback, sometimes even come up with a project. So you're doing this, and in the process, you're learning. You're learning about how to frame a research question, how to address some methodological issues, and you're also, of course, building your network, because every faculty knows people outside the school, and can also prepare you for being ready to go to the job market, providing advices and so on. So in the PhD program, you're part of a research team, like I said, and meaning that you take part to seminars. You are also working on project with colleagues. So I think the students feel quite integrated in the school. This is something that is really a specificity of our program, I think. What's in the next slide, Jeannie? Tell me. Yes.
Maybe just a bit about the application.
Yeah. Also, so maybe something that doesn't appear on the slide is, contracts and so on. And so maybe I should cover that like quickly, you think? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, the main format so far is that when you enter the program, you are offered a work contract. So that means you are working since day one as a teaching and research assistant, which is also part of the learning, because by working on helping the faculty to prepare teaching, and eventually someday teaching yourself, of course, but also doing some research assistantship on some projects of other faculty. By doing this, you develop your own competences, of course. But it's what is funding the PhD and the work you're doing as part of this contract. But it's also developmental for the students. So so that means you're paid for that to cover your expenses while you stay in Grenoble. It's not an enormous amount. You're not gonna be rich during your PhD with this contract, like it's the case most of the time, I would say. But at least you can cover expenses, rent an apartment, and so on. We are also open to self-funded student, but I would say it's a very rare exception. Let's say. So if you think you are falling into this category of intending to do a self-funded program, then we would have to talk in details at some point, you can contact me and we can discuss that. The requirements are quite simple. It's basically, I really recommend that you explore the website so that you can see what kind of research we do. We value very much academic excellence when we recruit a student, but we also need that person to be a good fit, because we have this philosophy of integrating students and creating collaboration with the faculty. It works only if you're a good fit. So again, check the website, see how you can see yourself fit into the team. Reach out to the prof. Will be very happy to discuss. Well, I hope we'll be very happy to discuss and consider your questions, and to see whether the topics you have in mind can match, but also to inquire about what would be nice topics to work on if you are not sure what you want to work on, which is also understandable. I mean, some people really have a passion for something, others are just willing to do research, but are fine with any type of topics. It's fine in both cases. The GMAT and the GRE or the GRE are mandatory. So yeah, I mean, you need to pass this test. So get ready, because it takes time to enroll and prepare and so on. And also English proficiency, because the program is fully in English, and it's full. Also, needless to say, it's fully face-to-face program. So we expect you to reside in Grenoble, stay in Grenoble, attend the school, work at the school, etc. Yeah, I think we're done. No, Jeannie,
All right,
is there
thank you.
anything
Yeah.
else?
No,
Okay,
and then, okay, so we'll move on to the
thanks.
DBA. And if you have any questions about the PhD program, please feel free to put them in the chat and
Thank
we
you.
will answer them shortly. So the DBA. Well, the DBA is very different from the PhD in that it is a 3-year part-time program. It's an internationally recognized doctoral program, again, because of our triple accreditations and our research ranking. We're aimed at business leaders and academics who want to enhance their career by leveraging research to solve complex issues. So this is generally for people who don't want to leave their careers, but still want to learn the research methodologies to then take back to their workplace or their field. So why the GEM DBA? So again, we can complete the program in just 3 years. It is from a top-ranked triple accredited school. The AACSB is particularly important for our US cohort, which gives us recognition in the States, which there is a small percentage of students who use this to sort of fast track to tenure or to get full-time jobs in academic schools in the US. We have a strong global network of over 600 alumni and students. We just celebrated our 30th year. We're the oldest program in Europe. We offer 2 locations, France and US, and I'll get into that in just a second. And again, our flexible format is really adapted to be followed while you're working. So we ask that you come for a couple of the seminars. Again, I'll get into the detail in a sec, but the rest can be followed remotely. We are one of the few programs to offer high quality supervision from day one. So all of our supervisors have been publishing for at least 5 years. They've all supervised before and are really, really excellent. And are there to, it's a real key feature of our program that they're there to help guide you from the beginning. We're a member of EdBac, so we're quite active in the States. We're one of the top ranked business schools in France in research, and we offer specializations in year 3. So I'll tell you a little bit about our program. So I say that we are comprised of, so we're comprised of international cohorts. And so the participants from both the DBA France and DBA USA are brought together for 2 of our seminars, which we do in person in Grenoble and in Paris. So if you join the DBA USA cohort, we still ask that you travel to France twice to meet the other cohorts and to get to know our school, and you can leverage this opportunity also to visit France. So it's really a very nice experience. Our DBA USA cohort has a second seminar that's in Los Angeles, while for our DBA France program, that same seminar is done online. Then we have another intensive seminar also done online, and regular workshops, online workshops, and that's usually at around 5 p.m. Paris time when we have shorter workshops, so that they can be done either, sometimes before work for our California crowd, or after work for our Europeans, and those in the Middle East and Asia. So this is a new feature this year, is that in year 3, we are offering specializations. So in sustainability, managing technology and innovation, or managing and leading people. So these specializations are not required to be aligned with your own research, but rather they're an opportunity to gain further research experience by presenting academic level work and learning about cutting edge research. So for this, we will offer a series of 8 webinars during year 3, so at which you will work in small groups on a conference paper and have the opportunity to share your knowledge and reflect on the topic, either with an academic or practitioner in the community. So we say that generally we find that everybody's research tends to fall under one of these 3 categories, and often a lot of our own expertise, but your thesis does not necessarily need to align to these. We find it's a way to sort of rejuvenate our students and bring them back together in year 3 and get another perspective about research. So that was quite quick on the DBA, but I'm just going to sum up quickly the DBA and PhD, and then we'll turn this over to Q&A. So our DBA is 3 years part-time, again, completed remotely while maintaining employment. The tuition fee is 50,000 euros or $60,000 over the 3 years. So the purpose of the program is to contribute to practice, organizations, society, for personal and professional development, or sometimes an academic credential for a career in industry, consulting, or transitioning to academia. The GMAT and GRE are not required. We do require a research topic proposal, as well as your motivation statement. And we require at least 5 years of work experience. Generally, our students have more. At least 10 years probably of experience, but we require at least 5. So, and our last application deadline for this incoming cohort is September 10th, and we start November 4th. Now, as Bart had explained, our PhD is full-time, require you to come to Grenoble. It's 4 to 5 years, and it's fully funded, with a few exceptions that if you would, like to talk to Bart about otherwise. And this is to contribute to academic research and theory, and for those looking for an academic career path. So for this, you do need a GMAT or GRE, English test, and a statement of purpose. And of course, most important is getting to know GEM's research and try to think about which team you would fall in. So for this, we will be opening applications. We're not taking applications before, so good time now to start your GMAT or GRE. But we'll start taking applications from November 1st and closing on January 31st. So that's a short window, but it gives you time to prepare. And then our program will start on September 25th. So that is the 2 programs in a nutshell. And now where you can find more information is we have quite a bit of information on our website. So we invite you to sort of explore that. We have a doctoral knowledge journal. You can find some older copies on there that give testimonials, and both the PhD and DBA students will write about their experience and their work. We have a blog as well, which is probably a little bit more updated at the moment, with some with other students who present their work. We have videos of past info sessions from this last year also about the DBA. And we really invite you to follow us on LinkedIn, where we're all quite active on our own research LinkedIn page. And this covers all of the research at GEM as well as our PhD and DBA programs. And with that, I'll say thank you. I will turn off my slides and we will open this up to questions. All right, so question 1 says, how prepared should one be to engage with a prospective professor for a PhD? That's a great question, Bart.
So you mean, I understand, should you prepare in advance before reaching out to the people, right? So I don't know. I think it's doesn't take a lot of preparation, knowing that if you have some interest in any kind of research, I think it's totally fine to reach out to these people. What may happen is that some colleagues may maybe be busy at the time and not respond, or so it's also totally fine to send reminders, just so you know. People won't mind. But I think the best preparation is to answer the question, is really to know more about the research we do. But there's no better way than just like looking at the website, even reading the abstracts of the papers these people wrote, the research they do. So, I mean, that would be a good preparation, I think, but it's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have our coordinator, Auriflora, is available too as you start to apply. So if it's an admin question or something very specific about the program, feel free to, you'll find the contact information on our website, I think, or Bart is also on our website. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, of course, I'm happy as a program director. I'm happy to help you find the right team or find the right people if you want advice, if you're not sure. Or it's totally fine for me to introduce you to colleagues that I think are a good match for what you want to do.
Absolutely. But because people are very busy and we're coming up to the summer now, it does
Yeah,
help to be patient and maybe message again in September.
yeah.
Or to really ask a pointed question and get to know, like Bart said, get to know that person and their research. And it wouldn't hurt to, yeah, because they're quite busy at the moment, to maybe prepare a little bit, maybe. We'd have better luck. All right, next question. Can I apply in July? Is there any age bar? So first, I'm assuming this is the PhD. If it is the PhD, no, we'll be taking applications from November, but like I said, it's a good time to start preparing. If it's the DBA, yes, please do apply now. We'll be taking applications up until September 10th. Their age bar, Bart?
About age, no. So again, the main criteria, like the most important one, is the fact that you want to pursue an academic career and do research, etc. So there's no age limit. There's no, actually, some of the alumni are older than me, so it's, yeah, I mean, it's totally fine.
Okay. All right.
And
So
39 is very young, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. So what is the realistic time to finish the DBA? So we are a 3-year program. That said, it is intense. We reformatted from a 4 intense. I mean, it's designed to be followed remotely, but you need to be ready, right? So most of our students do finish in 3 years. There are some exceptions but we will keep you on track to make sure you don't go past 5. So we have an excellent team with your supervisor, our academic directors, our doctoral school board, and we meet monthly, we discuss your cases, and we make sure that you're hitting your milestones and that you're getting the feedback you need to make your corrections and adjustments necessary to try to finish in those 3 years. Once in a while, something happens, you might need to take an abeyance or, encounter difficulties in life, but we suggest that you always work with your supervisor to be open and honest and organized in, sometimes it just life hits you a little bit harder at sometimes than others. But we do our best to accommodate and keep that in mind, but we promote open and honest, contact with your supervisor and our academic directors to try to finish on time.
But yeah, if I may, because I happen
Mhm.
to also supervise DBAs, so my impression is that it's really depending on your ability to make a little bit of space in your schedule, in your calendar, because of course you're going to have the seminars. They don't take a lot of time, but what takes time is, you know, doing on your own the literature review and doing a lot of well, what it takes to do research. So
Mhm.
because you're usually working at the same time, it's quite challenging. It's quite challenging. We must be clear. So you have to be ready to make space and preserve some of your time to be able to finish on time.
Yeah, and where it's a little bit different from the PhD, in which you can be more open and just identify with these research topics, we actually need you to know more or less what you want to do when you start the DBA. That said, it will all evolve once you get started. So when we ask you to fill out a preliminary proposal, it's or topic proposal, it's only 2,000 words, but we want you to know what, you know, what your direction is, because this helps us, one, identify your supervisor, right? And to help get you on that right path right away, because the first, you're going to hit the ground running once you get started. It's exciting, but a lot of work. But some of that time is not like an MBA, right? It isn't homework. It requires a lot of autonomy, which is why generally it's sort of an older profile. But that said, it could be anywhere between 30 and 65. So average age is 42, but really it's a relative. But it does take a tremendous amount of time management, and some of that, like Brett said, is just reading, note taking, making it a part of your life. Um, but those are some of the things we cover in the courses as well. All right, so any specification of GMAT and GRE score? I think the info is on our website. I can't remember offhand. Did you remember, Bart?
No, I was looking
Sorry, we
at
should
them.
know.
I would say so. Also, to answer another of the questions, I saw that it doesn't relate to language because I saw what if I'm a native speaker? Do I have to take the GMAT? Yeah, yes, you have, because by experience, the scores can be very different, and it doesn't really relate to language. GMAT, I don't think we specify. I'm looking at the website right now. We don't specify a score, and
I
also the
think, was
scale
it
has
550 or
changed.
600? I can't remember offhand,
Yes,
something like
yes, but
that.
this is the old.
But
There's
yes, because
there's
they
been a new
reformatted
scaling,
last year.
but it's around 600. But
Mm.
it's not. We're having a, let's say, holistic approach to the application. So if you have a very low GMAT, then that can be a big issue. To be honest, we really won't even consider the application. But above a certain score, which is probably like Jeannie said, like maybe 600 or something, then we get into this and we look at this. So it's not like we're looking only at the GMAT. And obviously, given the purpose of a PhD, we go much beyond that. So if we consider your application worth considering, then I would connect you to the potential team that you would be integrating. And then you will go through interviews, discussions, and I would say that is what is going to make the decision, much more than the GMAT itself.
Right, so how to find the professor. So on our website, there's a research page. We might have the links on, I know we have it on the PhD page or on
I
the
can.
DBA page, but I'm not quite sure on the PhD. We have a new website, so excuse us. This just came out this year.
No, but I can. I will post that. I will post
I'll
that
post it in the chat
in
as
the
well.
conversation.
So, but you'll see each of our 9 teams. There's
Yeah.
also a link that to all of our research or our faculty, and also to their publications, or I think it's recent publications, but that will start to help you get an idea. For the
So yeah,
DBA, you don't need to find your own supervisor. Unless there's somebody, again, who jumps out at you, but this is part of what we do to help you, and we will identify possible supervision from your application and your interview with our academic director. All right, so questions. Is there a scholarship option for the DBA? So we did offer it was a modest scholarship, but unfortunately that deadline is passed. Because the DBA, we're pretty transparent in our pricing. We're in the average for European DBAs, but we are one of probably the most experienced with amazing supervision. So we're at the moment, no, we're pretty direct. So we're at 50,000 euros for 3 years. Let's see. So is the DBA recognized by corporate companies in the French markets? So the DBA is a professional doctorate. It's different from that in a PhD in Europe, but it is recognized as a research degree and recognized professionally for your expertise. But that said, like any degree, it's what you bring to the table as well, right? Your work experience, your research, your publications, it's just the first stepping stone. So one of our added values is that we really accompany our students so that they graduate with, that extra pivot towards that profile that they want to build, right? Especially in our amazing PhDs. They go on to have amazing positions all over the world in academia, but our DBAs as well, not all of them want to transition careers. Some use it just for intellectual curiosity or to tackle a problem that's been bothering them for a very long time. But some do it to transition in academia. I think the recognition wouldn't matter in industry. Where it could be an issue is for those who want to go on to teach full-time in a French public university. In that case, we have then a DBA might not be recognized by public university, but generally, if those want to teach in a business school, could. And Bart can tell you about the PhD, I think.
About the PhD. So yeah, to be even more specific, so technically the PhD is recognized by business schools. So technically, as you saw, a lot of our alumni are now working in a French business school. But in some places, you may need more, I would say more, or a doctorate that is recognized by the European Union, which is not the case of the PhD. However, we have a partnership with a university named Université Savoie-Mont-Blanc. So it's a French university in Annecy, close to Grenoble. So the students that have this intention can enroll in their French doctorate through the partnership we have, so that when you pass the PhD, you also enroll for a French doctorate that is recognized by the European Union, which is a condition for places such as public university in the UK or in Germany or in China also. So you've got this opening of the business schools in the world. Plus, if you want to target more public universities, you would have to use the partnership we have with USMB. You can Google that. I can send also a link in the conversation. For the DBA, there is a question specifically about the DBA holders and how they can or cannot be hired in universities. I would say it really depends, because the students I've had, let's say, doing a DBA myself, as the students that I supervised, my impression was that they were doing the DBA to be able to have an additional credential to teach in universities, but more as adjuncts. So you could be hired as a full-time, etc., especially in the US, but it's not regarded as a PhD. Let's be clear about that. It's the ideal cherry on the cake, let's say, crowning an experience to sell your services as an adjunct prof. But it may not be enough for a permanent position in universities, but it depends also. Like if you take the US market, as you know, universities are so diverse in terms of their level and excellence. So it depends on the institution you would be targeting.
Absolutely. And that, we have several senior directors with DBAs who then go on to produce excellent research. But yeah,
Yes.
but then even though most of our students who do have that academic background are also consulting, like I said, are going on to do adjunct
And
or teaching in business schools, or they still want to work but want the option to maybe start to teach as they near retirement or sort of have these hybrid careers.
just to
So,
rebound on one of the comments, pointing that Michael Porter started with a DBA. Actually, some of my colleagues in GEM are now doing research,
yep.
publishing very good level, and what they have is a DBA. And it's the case also for your culture. It's the case also of Clayton Christensen, the inventor of the technology disruption theory. So in our HBR, Harvard Business School, sorry. So that guy also has a DBA, and that didn't really prevent him from succeeding. So it really depends.
I think Shaquille O'Neal has one too, actually, but I better
Oh
Google
yeah,
that first. So, see,
easy. I,
very
I I
diverse.
would love to take a class taught by that
Yeah.
guy.
I should have Googled that before saying that, but I feel like I read that recently. So, how are we doing with our questions?
There's one on the extension of a fee for extending. Maybe yeah, if you last longer than you thought in the DBA, is there
Oh
an
yeah,
extension
so
of
if
the
you
fee?
go on to year 4 or 5, uh, depending on a few nuances here and there, we don't charge full fees. It will be 10,000 per year, but breakable into semesters. So let's say 5,000 per semester. But there will be quite a few steps before we get to that point. But that's generally it. So year 4 and year 5 would be about 5,000 per semester, with a few little nuances there to help you get done. So November is our only and we only have one intake per year for both programs, unfortunately, because it is a lot of fun. But so the only start date we have is November, and we do require attendance for those in-person seminars. But you won't regret it. They're really great, but it's important to be there for the seminars because they're intensive, and that's really what really key to succeeding in these programs. So acceptance, if you get accepted, it's valid for 1 year. You can, defer for another year if you need to. After that, we'll just ask you, because your research topic will change. So it's not that we wouldn't necessarily want to kick you out, but we need you to sort of reflect again on your topic and supervision, and because by then you might have gone through a few other transitions that you need to think about. So we'd ask you to apply again, but we'd hold it for you for 1 year. But we might also solve additional questions as well to help get you accommodated. All right. Oh, okay. I see that somebody entered the Michael Porter into the chat, so that's great. It is a fun fact. Thanks. All right. Do we have any other questions? We covered quite a bit. Bart, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No. If you have questions, of course, I will be glad to answer by email. Feel free.
Yep, same here. So you can find our contact information, Bart for the PhD, and you can find mine on the DBA, and we can put you in touch with the right people if you need. But please don't
also,
hesitate. Oh yeah, please.
Maybe, sorry. Go ahead. No, if I was saying maybe you can also follow our LinkedIn to get news about what the DBA student do, PhD student do. So there's an account called I will drop the link to the
Yeah, I
account.
can send an email afterwards.
Yeah,
I
okay, good,
yeah.
because it's the best way for you to be informed about what our students do and what our researchers are up to.
For the DBA, we have another question for the DBA. Okay, says, by looking on the internet, I found that we need to use our personal work and experience to obtain data. Is that the case? Yeah, because each DBA is going to be customized to your needs, right? So while you learn to do, the surveys and you learn the research methodologies, it is important to think about, what network access to which network you have, how would you conduct your research, qualitative, quantitative, how would you go about doing that? And those are some questions that you might not know, but it's important, right now. But important to start to imagine. So you learn about what it's like to do a doctorate. And then you can ask your supervisor these questions as well as you get going. Bart, maybe as a supervisor, you would have some
Yeah,
advice
no,
for
I
this.
think what we see happening is very often that students do use their network for getting access to data, but this is not something that they have to do. It's just that what is most convenient for them. And also because, like you said, I mean, it's really connected to their interest and topic. So the questions that I've raised in their mind were based on observation of their environment and work environment. So usually that's where they will find their data, but it's not because they have to. And also, just so you understand, like there are tons of ways of collecting data. There are tons of types of data. So, for example, the students that I was taking as examples just before in the PhD, but that would be the same for DBAs. Some of them use data from public databases. Some of them analyze annual reports from companies, for example, that are public. So it's also I mean, what I like about research myself is that you got to be creative in terms of how you can use everyday facts that you are surrounded by and transform that into data. It doesn't require to have a network. It's just like being creative. And now there are tons of data that are publicly available, so it's quite easy. Well, easy. It's feasible.
All right, and let's see. Last question is, do you know the
Yeah.
acceptance rate for the PhD?
Let me see. Yeah, I don't have my file here, but I would say so. Last year we recruited 5, and I think we had about 50 applications. But all kinds of applications. So just to be clear. But yeah, that's the and also like some people apply and then choose some other school. What we have is really like an international range of applications. So people sometimes choose between us and some university somewhere in the UK or the US. So yeah, it's
Or decide to do a DBA instead, or vice versa. So we do
yeah,
something like
also
that,
yeah,
yeah?
of course. Yeah. But I would say from
Yeah.
the top of my mind, I would say 5 to 50, yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of they're both programs that take a tremendous amount of commitment, right? They're going to make
Yes.
in your time
That's
and
that's
your
what we also
goals.
yeah.
So it's
That's what
definitely,
we
especially the
assess also
PhD, it's a career trajectory at this point.
in
So
the
mm,
recruitment process. That's what we assess also, like the sustainability, so to speak, of the project, because it's a strong commitment. 4 to 5 years living in Grenoble. As a student, sometimes you've had a career before, and so it's quite a commitment. It's great, it's rewarding, but it's clearly, let's face it, it's not for everyone. Just to be clear. Yeah.
and for the DBA, it often takes at least 2 years to even think of your research topic and make that commitment. So I bet some of you on this call have been, pick it up, next year I'm going to explore again and think about it. And it's been, the wheel's been turning for a while before you sort of think, okay, I've been thinking about this for a while, and now I'm ready to dive into this topic and to really sort of explore a subject. All right, and with that, so it's the hour, so we won't keep you. But oh, sorry, we have one more question, I guess, just popped up. So I guess explain a self-funded PhD.
Yeah, so it's cases where, so sometimes you've got people who get grants from some government, for example, and this grant is enough for them to pursue the PhD without a work contract. Like I said, most of the cases, people don't have a funding and rely on the work contract with GEM, with our school, through which they work as a research and teaching assistant on top of doing their research. But sometimes some people have a grant or have some funding from somewhere, and it's something that is that we can consider. So the person would attend the program without having to work as a research and teaching assistant. That's what it means. Or if you have like you're super rich and you have your funding for yourself, etc., etc. Assuming you are aligned with the requirements in terms academically speaking, that's something that we can consider. Yeah. So I was meaning like outside of any contract of work contract with GEM.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And again, you can find our contact info on the website. I'll send you an email after this call with just a few little places where you can find information. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Okay.
Bye-bye.